And to kick us off is our next speaker, a close friend, someone who's been doing and living the work in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont for several years now. Hundreds of people have gone to Rootstock Retreat to spend time with Beana and the land and talk about connectedness. Holy shit. It is really fantastic. And here to share her experience and wisdom with us is our very own Beana Bern. Please help me welcome Beana.
Hi, everybody. Read in with the bell. Thank you. Wow. Hi. It's really nice to be here with all of you today. I have been thinking about this talk for months. Waking up, thinking, what might I bring? Falling asleep, thinking, what might I share? And so it's a little surreal to be standing here right now, but I am feeling so much gratitude. So much gratitude. Thank you, Rick, for this opportunity. To be in this lineup today is like humbling and just feels like such a privilege. So my heart is all the way here with you today. Let's see what falls out of my mouth now. Yeah, as I was thinking about what to bring here, I thought I could introduce myself, I could introduce my practice, but I do that all the time, kind of in the context of my work, and I didn't really want to spend this precious time doing that. And as I was kind of going through what might I bring to this space, I realized that all of the ideas kind of fell into two baskets. There was a basket of seeds and a basket of fruit. And the seeds are ideas that I think are really important to my own becoming, to my work in the space, that are really deep, rich, interesting conversations that could fill this whole hour. And so I wanted to bring some seeds, not to go deeply into each of them, but to sow them here. So maybe questions can come later, or conversations can come in time. And then I also wanted to just offer some fruit. And the fruit are lessons that I just keep learning. Every single session, I learn the same lessons. And so I thought I would bring some of that fruit here for you and offer it for your health and well-being practice. So as Rick mentioned, I have a beautiful place in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. I call it the Northeast Queendom, by the way. Yeah, in West Glover. And, before I kind of dive into the seeds and the fruit, I'll just offer this. I'm kind of entering into my 29th year on the planet Earth as a psychonaut. So 29 years I've been actively pursuing my own consciousness. I've been exploring myself deeply. I've been exploring time and space, reality, other, love, fear, all the things deeply. I've had the great privilege to experience many molecules and many medicines in a vast array of containers: ceremonial, therapeutic, recreational, reckless, even. And when I began my sort of journey into psychedelics on Horse Barn Hill, Storrs, Connecticut, I had no idea really what I was doing. I just said yes. And my life has never been the same. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful. So, I didn't embark on that first trip to meet God or heal or commune with my ancestors or even learn anything. I think at that time I was definitely like a wounded, wild child running towards something in the future, maybe. I don't know. Like many of us, I had lots of pain growing up. And well, just about everybody has some pain growing up. And, all of my time with the psychedelics, I was kind of swirling around it, learning a little bit about it, but not necessarily like actively trying to deal with it. And it took a long time for me to get brought into the right kinds of settings, maybe the right sort of maturity in my life, to start to find the right sorts of people and the right sorts of containers to actually navigate. And so after, I don't know, 20 years or so of just sort of deep experimentation, I sort of arrived into a much more conscious approach, which was rooted in, excuse me, me arriving to a place in my life of recognizing that I myself need to take responsibility for my happiness. Nobody's going to fix me. Nobody's going to fix it. So if I want to live well, if I want to be happy, if I want to thrive, I got to figure out how to do that. And the medicine, met me. It was a wonderful ally. And I got to embark on this wonderful journey of learning for myself how to heal myself. And so around 2018, 2017, it was born into my heart. But 2018, the same year that Michael Pollan published his amazing book that changed everything, excuse me, I opened the doors to a little place called Rootstock Retreat. And Rootstock is my home. It is my community. It's my church. It's my work. My service. It's a lot of things. And I'm not going to spend this whole hour talking about it. But Rootstock has been my sort of vehicle for developing the practice that I now serve inside of. And so in the last, you guys are like data people. So I feel like I'm going to offer you a little bit of data just to give you some context for some of the fruit and seeds that I'm going to offer you today. So 2018, I opened the doors. And at that time, I had the audacity, right, to open doors and say, come and experience this. But at that time, I still did not sort of see myself necessarily as a guide. It wasn't like my calling or my work. It was more a matter of, wow, I've really made major strides in my life and found some grounding and found some peace. Maybe this will work for other people too. And so the first year or so of my work was really just inviting people to come and do what I was doing, the way that I was doing it. And from that, I learned a lot and got to witness a lot. And, each time that I would hold space for somebody in that very first sort of lap around the sun, I always had the same intention. And the intention was to listen to the medicine, to listen to my guests, to listen to my partner at the time, to listen to my land, my neighbors, my community, to really deeply listen. And after each session, there was this like sweet whisper, and it sounded like this. Keep going, right? And so I did. And so since 2018, I have had the immense, epic privilege of holding space for about 420 people. Of those 420 people, about 50% of them have been men, 50% of them women. Initially, it was more men than women, but it's planed out in time. I've sat with folks ages 21 to 86. About 60% of the people that I sit with are new to psychedelics. What an honor, right? To get to hold space for somebody new to this medicine. Inside that 60%, there's definitely a handful of folks that had that one trip 30 years ago, but they're still kind of newbies in a way. Why do people come? All the reasons. I've sat with folks for the reasons are as vast as the people themselves that are coming. Depression, treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, PTSD, CPTSD, eating disorders, addiction. I've sat with folks that are dealing with childhood trauma, sexual trauma, had the deep privilege of holding space for 7 end-of-life sessions and many sessions that are people confronting terminal illness. I've sat with veterans who have done many active tours of duty, a lot of 9/11 first responders, interestingly. I've also had the opportunity to sit with people that are navigating what I'm calling, or maybe we're calling, existential dread, climate grief. A growing number of people that are coming to do this work are adults with parents of adult children that are not sort of launching. So parents trying to figure out how to navigate moving into their older years with children that are still dependent. That's an interestingly big cohort of people. What else? Writer's block, executives wanting to be nicer, curious people that are interested to develop their own relationship to spirit or consciousness. And more, a growing number of folks in this space, licensed clinical health practitioners that are either like all a Twitter with all the exciting research that is here and everywhere. Folks that are interested to maybe bring this medicine into their practices, or folks that are interested to find high integrity practitioners that they can refer their patients to. Many of you have done that in here, and I just want to say thank you. And so, it's a vast amount of sort of issues and opportunities to be with humanity. About 20% of the people that I work with come back in some kind of way. And so just to kind of give you a little sense of like the body of work that I'm sort of drawing from. I have my 29 years of my life experience with the medicine, and then I have this 6 going on 7 years of my practice. So that's a little bit about that. So the seeds that I wanted to sow, the first one we'll call becoming. I alluded to it a little bit, but I had the audacity to self-certify myself. I had the audacity to actually feel into my own self, do my own kind of work, and arrive to a place of readiness and willingness to hold the mystery. And I feel like that initiation, which literally has been my whole life, but certainly the last decade, has been such an essential part of my arrival into this space and my capacity to stay in integrity while I do it. What makes a medicine guide? Is it a certificate from a wonderful program? Visible on the wall? Is it that one epic ayahuasca experience that you had that changed your whole life and now you're ready? You're called to do it too? Right? Somebody alluded to that earlier. Like, what is it that makes a medicine guide? And I feel like, it's clear that this medicine is here and it's coming. And it's clear that it needs beautiful, high integrity, grounded, healthy people to hold it and share it. And so what makes somebody ready to do that? This is a good question. This is a good question. And it's a question that I would love to talk to you about for a whole hour. But I'm just going to leave that seed there. The second seed that I want to sow has to do with the practice. And there's been a lot of information already shared today that feels relevant to what I want to speak to. So one of the things that I was thinking about is, I could stand there and I could just tell them about the medicine retreat. I could just tell you what I do. But I do that 3 times a month on Zoom, and if you're interested in what I do, just come and I'll tell you. I'm not going to do that here. But the thing that I wanted to share about the retreat is this. Although psilocybin is definitely largely what gets people to me and to Rootstock, it is a small fraction of what actually impacts their experience. It is a small fraction of what moves them closer to whatever it is they're on the path towards. Food is medicine. Sleep is medicine. Music is medicine. Presence is medicine. Silence is medicine. And so the medicine retreat is not me sitting there dosing somebody with mushrooms. It's a more alchemical container, vaster, bigger, more sophisticated. And it's really about coming back into relationship with what even is medicine. We talk about it here, like the molecules, right? And the plants and the mushrooms, but like it's more than that. It's bigger than that. It's more nuanced than that. And that is another conversation that I would love to have. Seed planted. Another seed I want to plant, and this goes right to what Dr. Watts was talking about, is sustainability. So I'm going into my 7th year as a full-time medicine guide. And what I can tell you is it is hard work. It is hard work to sit in the pain and in the longing and in the resistance and in the fear and in the worry and in the control and in the joy and in the love and in the hope, right? It is hard work to hold that And so, I do about, I don't know, 36-hour sessions a month, in addition to other stuff. And so, how do I, Beana, stay well in my life? I actually architected an entire ecosystem. Before I went all the way in on this work, I actually had the forethought to think to myself, how am I going to stay okay doing it? And so Rootstock Retreat is one of those cultural islands that Dr. Watts was talking about. It is a dynamic, self-fortifying ecosystem where I myself get to fall apart, get to get put back together, get to be held, get to be nourished, and get to replenish. I built an entire imagination farm to keep me inspired to keep doing the work. And I think, it's a interesting thing, right? There's community and there's monthly circles where I actually get to do my own breathing and my own releasing, with witness, with friends, with beloveds. Many people here have been to a moon circle or a gathering at Rootstock. And so I have this kind of cyclical space inside community to be able to process my pain and to release it. I have a wood-fired bathhouse. Talk about medicine. That we could talk about for an hour. But like this deeply elemental, deeply, deeply, deeply potent, deeply connected elemental healing sanctuary where I get to stay soft, where I get to sweat out what I'm holding on to, where I plunge into cold water and come back into center. Other practitioners come and they offer yoga, they offer things, and my calendar is really full, so we don't do a lot of that. But there's other people that get to come and bring their medicine and their wisdom. And so, this idea of being able to stay in service for the long haul is a really real conversation that really, 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 really could benefit from some creativity and also some deep grounding. Throttling people into the work. I mean, assuming that the becoming is like a deep call and there's talent and capacity, and assuming that the practice is high integrity and organized well, even still, there's that capacity that eventually you need to deal with. There's that getting tired, that burning out, and energy doesn't lie in this space. If I'm not a whole person, I am not able to do my job for the people that I'm sitting with. And so it's my job to be a whole person. And so on one hand, it's like there's the work, and then there's also the work. And so those were 3 C's that I thought were really important to share. And the other note about the sort of ecosystem, it really goes to what, again, Dr. Watts was talking about, where, I'm not an indigenous lineage carrier. I'm not a wisdom keeper from a tradition. I am like a European and Russian immigrant, many generations deracinated. And so for me, like I need to re-indigenize myself. And some of my work at Rootstock has been making myself indigenous to that place, learning the language of that place, coming back into relationship with that place. And in doing that, the power, what Rick was mentioning, the connectedness, it is palpable. It is palpable. And so that way of sort of working with land, with community, with the elements, and also with your deep sense of what do I need to stay generous? What do I need to stay powerful? What do I need to stay creative? Asking those questions all the time and then answering them with action. Seed planted. Each of those things could be an hour. And so we'll just leave that there. And switch to fruit. So the fruit of my labor is just so vast. I might cry talking about it. Like I love what I do. It is the privilege of my lifetime, probably all of my lifetime, to get to sit with people for 36 hours with no phone, no clock or watch, no to-do list, no push notification, no bullshit. Just human, heart to heart, eyes connected with some sort of goal in mind. What are we here to do? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? You know? And so, each of these sessions is it's all the same ingredients. You take a person, you take some psilocybin, you take an intention, you take 36 hours, you take a carefully curated playlist, right? A couple other things. And every single result is its own miraculous kind of snowflake. It's just magical shape that each one of these sessions make. It's very dynamic. And you could think that you're going to know what's going to happen. And then you learn. And then you learn what happened. So the first piece of fruit that I want to offer, and again, this is, I think, relevant for all medicine. I think this is relevant for anybody doing any kind of medicine work. The first piece of fruit that I want to offer is this. Presence is the best present. Time. More time. Time is more potent than psilocybin. It is more potent than whatever thing you think is potent. I am very lucky to work in a way where I'm not sort of connected to the work week or the billable hour, right? I'm underground. I'm outside of that system. I got a degree in economics. I was a conventional robot for a long time, and I worked as an executive in the luxury fashion industry. My business mind, when I started this practice, wanted to figure out, okay, how many sessions can I do? What's the right capacity, right? Trying to figure it out, trying to crack that nut. And so I tried a lot of things. I will not work with anybody with less than 36 hours for one journey, period. Because it is taught to me again and again and again and again that is how much time is needed. Letting somebody ground, arrive, down-regulate their nervous system, co-regulate their nervous system, cultivate trust, right? Feel the swirly feelings, time to be in the journey, time to come out of the journey, time to process the next day. All of that has proven essential. Civilizations rise and fall. Species evolve and go extinct in 36 hours. It is a long time, and a lot is possible. And so one of the pieces of fruit that I want to offer all of you is to slow down. Take time for yourself as a practitioner, for your clients, even if it's not the most cost effective, even if it's not scalable in all the ways that the models say it needs to be. It's the most potent thing that you can give somebody is your presence. On that topic, the next piece of fruit, the runway into, I'm going down, right? The descent into psilocybin, the runway into the medicine and out of the medicine is the ripest for revelation in my experience. And you need time to actually experience this. But, I feel like there's this, momentum, this culture, this over culture of ours, bigger, better, faster, more, get there, get to the good part, get to the good part. When's the good part? When is it going to get good? When is it going to get transformational? And honestly, that period of time waiting for the medicine to work, wondering if the medicine's going to work. Did she give me bunk mushrooms? And nothing's happening, right? I don't feel anything. That period of time of like, is anything going to work? Right? That desperation, right on that edge is like, is anything ever going to work for me? That period of time is so precious for people to come right up into a relationship with exactly why they are there. And this rushing, right? This shoot it, blast off, get there, lemon tech, fast, do all this manipulation to just get to the peak, is maybe that's in service to some practices, and maybe that's a good thing in some contexts. In my experience, it is in direct opposition to what I'm there to do. Helping people actually be in that discomfort. Helping them lay there and bear yourself, right? Bear yourself for this hour while you wonder if something's going to happen. It is deeply, deeply, deeply medicinal. Same thing on the outro of the journey. And again, billable hours, right? Time is money. I got dinner plans tonight. Can't linger here too long. As somebody's coming out of the medicine, I mean, it's been said now, and I think every single presentation, when you're done with the trip is when you're tripping. That's when it starts. To put somebody in a taxi or like put them in the Airbnb and be like, okay, good luck with that. Check in with you in a week. Again, I get the practicality. And for me in my work, I get hyper vigilant as a guide as they're coming out of the medicine. That sweet chaos where their ego mind wants to kick back in to the to-do list, wants to like be a normal person and act like something huge didn't just happen. Wants to sort of like craft the tidy narrative that's going to impress their friends and coworkers with their new enlightenment. That's like exactly the right time to hold them with so much gentleness, with inconclusivity. I invite them to not use any punctuation. Ellipsis, whatever that word is. Like dot, dot, dot works, but no periods, no exclamation points. Don't decide right now if it was good or bad. Don't decide if it's changed your life. Don't make decisions about what you have to do now. Rest here. Rest here in this awkward, raw, tender, uncomfortable humanity and memorize it. The runway in and the runway out are essential. And for those of you that are new to this work and sliding into it now, don't skimp. Don't skimp on that. Figure it out. Figure out how to hold that space. I think especially I'll just make a little extra note here for, I work with a lot of people that are doing a lot of ketamine now. There's a lot of people doing a lot of ketamine. And a lot of them are getting results, a lot of them aren't. But like in my experience, but like in that world in particular, this is relevant for you guys too. The runway in and the runway out matters. And it might feel like possible because of that 20-minute arc that somehow you can fit it in an hour. And I would challenge you all with like love and curiosity to see what happens when you linger longer. Check it out. Another piece of fruit. Soft is the new strong. Yeah. Woo, she said. Yeah. So, again, there is talk about sort of the patriarchal kind of yang energy, the go get it, bigger, better, faster, more stuff. There's a lot of talk about heroics in psychedelics too. Like I want the heroic dose. I want to do the one that's going to kill my ego. And it's like, yeah, you want that until you get that. Right? You think you want that. But to be able to and this softness requires the first two things that I just said. It requires time and it requires respect of the in and out. So with my work, with the mushrooms, the more that I sit with them, the more I get to really palpably feel what I would describe as like a divinely kind of feminine energy. And what I mean by that is this. The most impactful experiences that I witness are the ones where the individuals are willing to relax, lay back, close their eyes, and receive. Just receive. Just see what comes. Just let it in. That ability to lay back and receive requires a kind of softness. And it's easy to think that, well, let me just throw 5 grams at it and bust you through that hard part so you can get to the good thing. But honestly, that softening, that ability to just open is a much more useful skill set, is a much more useful muscle memory, is a much more useful thing than throttling somebody into something that they're not actually maybe emotionally capable of dealing with. Actually cultivating the relationship with the person that you're working with to a place where they want to open, where they want to say yes to the medicine. I have witnessed massively transformational experiences for people on 1 gram. 1.5 grams. You don't need 5 grams in silent darkness. You don't need to do that. Maybe there's a time where that's the right thing. I've done that thing. But like really like recognizing that like the strength that it takes to soften and receive what's happening is ultimately a much more useful thing to be talking to a client about and practicing and cultivating than just like, okay, let's get to the root of whatever. Because if they can bring themselves to the root of whatever, there's a good likelihood that they're going to be changed in 3, 6, or 12 months after that experience. Soft is the new strong. Sensitivity, receptivity is the new intelligence. You know, like the more subtle a sensation you can detect, the more quiet you can be so that you can feel what's happening in your body, the more curious you can be about it. It definitely makes the experience much more interesting and a lot less scary, right? You have pain, be curious about it. Oh, you have a shiver, feels weird. Okay, cool. Breathe into it, relax. You know, I think that there's, really like dosage is a big topic. Like, how much is enough? And I think the question of how much is enough is like one of the most poignant and important questions like of our time. How much is enough? Psilocybin, money, right? Followers on social media, whatever. And so I think in the medicine space, for us to not buy into that old, obsolete narrative and to recognize that actually the power is in our willingness to feel it, our willingness to open to it, our willingness to trust it. And so to play with that, for those of you, again, that are doing the medicine work and you're just kind of, oh, yeah, we start with 3 and then we go up to play with this. See what happens when you spend more time, right, on cultivating the openness. Going down into the basement with the monsters the night before the journey, going up into the attic with the ghosts, going to those tender places before the medicine, so that when it's there on the medicine, there's a willingness to be like, oh, hey, hi, I saw you yesterday. Come on in, right? Rumi's poem, The Guest House, is a wonderful, more poetic way of saying what I'm saying right now. But to recognize that, if we just sort of buy into pushing through or kind of making it happen or getting to the good part, we are missing the absolutely best part, the ripest, most potent part. Fourth piece of fruit. I'm going to try to leave a couple minutes for questions. Seasonality. And I won't talk too long about this because it's already come up, and I think that Dr. Watts's trees are perfect. And I live like that on my hill too. There's not one flower that blooms 365 days a year. There is nothing in nature that is in stasis. There is no forever cresting wave in some endless summer. The conditioning, the programming that we've all been sold that somehow happy is a destination and healed is somewhere that you can get is false. There are seasons of our days, there are seasons of our lives. And there are seasons inside the medicine work also. And I'm very blessed to live in a magnificently beautiful place with very communicative land. Very communicative land. But the invitation here is this, to as without, so within. Right now, we're right at the fall equinox. Light, half dark. The leaves are coming off the trees. The fruit is falling. This is an expression of what is happening somehow in each of our lives. To be able to look at the medicine work, for me, if there was a woman that was with me this summer, and she was doing some very, 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 very deep ancestral healing, and it was intense. And it happened to be a night where the sky was flooding Vermont, and the lightning was pink, and the wind was howling, and she got naked and got in the hot tub and was like, this wild sort of like, it's like the wind sort of like blew through her, it was like this amazing moment where she realized that was her that day. And there's so much power in coming back into relationship with the place that we're working, with the seasonality of the place, with the elements of the place. There's so much medicine in it to be able to sort of have a much deeper, richer, fatter narrative because of the crow that was talking in that moment. The thing that you thought was distracting is actually a teacher knocking on your door, to kind of look at the world as participating. There's the setting, and then there's the setting that the setting is in. And all of that is the work, And so just inviting that sort of exploration back into what's the quality of the light on this day? Was there a tractor driving by? What was that? What was, like being curious about what else was going on and not kind of dismissing that as like separate or annoying, but recognizing that that is also your experience. That's also the story. And maybe it's a really important part of the story. The elemental kind of seasonal way of working doesn't have to be something, overly complicated. It doesn't need to be taken from a tradition. It can just be you looking out the window and seeing the quality of the day and then feeling into what is that saying, But it's a really powerful part of the medicine work, especially with what I call earth medicine, plants, mushrooms, things that are of the earth. It matters greatly. The last thing, the last thing that I want to say is this. The medicine is not here to fix it. It's not here to fix us. It's not the silver bullet. It's not the miracle cure. Doesn't matter what the amygdala says or what the thing, it doesn't, it's not here to fix us. Life is terminal. There is no cure. Life is full of discomfort and grief and staggering, painful beauty. Life is full of disappointment and dashed expectations. It is full of confusion. It is full of love. And all of that, when we really let it in, when we really, really, really let ourselves feel it, it's overwhelming. It brings tears and shivers. It brings discomfort. It makes us feel so small or so big. And to think that we should cure that, like that we should somehow cure discomfort, is misguided. Learning how to be at the top of the wave and then the bottom of the wave is what I believe like this medicine can help us do. I believe that when held in integrity and with maturity and with care and love and creativity, it can teach us how to surf those waves with dignity, to rise and fall and not make it drama or chaos and not try to fix it. I have witnessed miracle upon miracle upon miracle. Like I can't count the synchronicities or miracles that I've gotten to witness. I'm like the luckiest woman in the world with what I've gotten to see people do, And all of them have to walk off my hill and somehow live into the promise of the medicine. They have to make choices that bring them closer to intimacy, closer to love, closer to confidence. And diving back into the medicine every month is not really, might as well take Zoloft. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if we become codependent on the medicine to be the thing that keeps our shit together, we're doing it wrong again. Let's not do it wrong again. As practitioners, I guess I'll leave us with this, like many of you are practitioners or aspiring practitioners. Energy doesn't lie. We have to be whole people, well people, grounded people in our integrity, clear about our service in order to really, really, really hold the kind of space that's going to let transformation happen. Clean space for people to do what they need to do without us doing it for them. And I think, taking the time, respecting the sort of shitty parts of the medicine, respecting that awkward, slow in and out, softening, not having it just throttle you, but actually having to like open yourself. All of these things are capacities where, when cultivated, you can live off the medicine, but still like walk the medicine path. You can still be connected, alive, integrating, doing all the things that need doing. But as like a sovereign being, who has allies on the path, but isn't a codependent sort of pilgrim. I think I'm going to stop there. There's so much more I want to say, but I think I'm going to stop there and see if maybe there's any questions that anybody has. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Woo. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Bill Richards just gave me a standing ovation. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. That really is, my heart is like gonna spill out my eyes. Does anybody have any questions? Come on, one. Okay. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your work too. You had a question? I think if when we were doing that prayer earlier where she asked us to look at all the colors of blue in the first walnut, like all the colors of fear. I sat with lots of different kinds of fear and control, and I don't exactly know how to answer that question, but I think that, for me, I can't like hold fear and love at the same time. And so it's okay when people come to me with fear. It's not my fear, you know? And so to be able to sort of be boundaried and clear in my work and recognize that I'm holding space for them, I can hold up believing mirrors. I can invite them to look at it. We can explore it. But some of my work is to not sort of make it my own, even when they want for it to be me, to be my own. And so I think, having time and having a beautiful, very nourishing, very kind of pretty place to sort of like soften helps a lot. And what I will say is if somebody is in like active fear when it's time to eat medicine, we might not eat medicine. They might not eat medicine. To recognize that fear is not a healthy mindset to go into the session with. And so giving them that full 12 hours of runway and preparation to be able to be really honest with themselves about what is it that they're actually afraid of. More often than not, like I was describing this the other day, like the old Tom and Jerry cartoons where the mouse runs in front of the candle and looks like a big gnarly monster. The fear of the fear is usually worse than whatever they're afraid of. And so I've got lots of anecdotes to kind of help that depending on what they're talking about. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Yeah. I love that question. So, in addition to being a medicine woman and solopreneur, I'm a homesteader. And so I grow tons of food and flowers and medicinal herbs. And I'm also very gifted to be in a very rich and deep community of herbalists and chefs and magic makers. And so the food really is rooted in simplicity like do the thing that you're doing and do it well. Um, and also beauty. Beauty is a priority in everything that I do at Rootstock. And so in addition, we may just eat oatmeal the journey day, right? But making sure that it's nutrient dense, making sure that there's good fats in there and trace minerals, making sure that they're nourished for the journey, things like that are things that I tend. In the bigger group work, I definitely have a lot of fun with what I call the afterglow, which is kind of like the first spread that food, like that you get to see after a long, hard journey. And again, that's like textures and smells, and we get to play with it. But I'm in an incredibly rich food system in the Northeast Kingdom, and it's like that. You can taste the love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hi, Rachel. Oh God. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no. It's a perfectly right question. So, she asked about, how do I sort of maintain boundaries working so closely, and what I can say to with that is, my so Rootstock is my home, right? It's a rustic retreat center, but it's also my home, and the Mushroom Temple is my log cabin, and I sleep upstairs. So I've been living in the Mushroom Temple for 6 years. Yesterday, I was not at the sound healing because I bought myself a tiny house and I'm moving out of the Mushroom Temple right next door. But in terms of the boundaries, what I would say is like it's really energetic because I spend a lot of time with these people, and I think for those of you that have done this work, even just a little bit of it, it's very easy to be a movie screen, right? Like I'm a movie screen, and like I'm just filled with the projections of the people that I'm with. And so for me, I have to know who I am, and I have to know what my values are, and I have to know what I'm there to do, and I have to like be clear about what I'm there to do and not ever forget that. And so, I take my work really, really seriously, and have kind of built my life to hold me in integrity to be able to do that. I don't think that I would be able to sort of have that same discipline if I was like living the life that I was living 10 years ago. Like I don't think I could be the social butterfly that I used to be, or like I don't think I could do spread myself around as much as I used to and then come back into that kind of clear channel. And so there's some cost associated with doing the work the way that I do it. I've had to let go of some aspects of normal life to be able to like stay clean in my energy and my integrity. And the other thing I'll say is like this work is deeply symbiotic. Like you can't sit with somebody in a super real way and not also be confronted with your fear and your baggage and your drama and your limitations and your insecurity. And so I am like in a constant state of my own reckoning with my own stuff. And again, that's by design. I thought I needed that much healing. I think we all might. And so I welcome it. I welcome sort of being met with that question of like, what is mine and what is theirs? And like, okay, let's do them now. And then as soon as they go, I have to look in the mirror and deal. Yeah. Last question. Hmm. Good question. So what I didn't mention is that of the 420 people or so that I've sat with in the last 6 years, I've talked to over 4,000. So every single week I do intake, and it fluctuates. I may talk to 5 or I may talk to 100 people in a week. Practicing openly, which I've been doing the whole time, has allowed people to find me. And so I talk to lots and lots and lots of people. And what I can say is, I think it's different for every practitioner. For me, in the thousands of people that I've talked to, 5 or 6 of them are people that I've been like, I don't think I can help you. But I am very sort of generous. I don't have the sort of medical training, right? That like makes all the bells and whistles go off, right? Like I'm just a human and I'm feeling their heart and I'm feeling what they're saying. And so, in the Zoom, I can kind of get a sense of if somebody's energy is a little weird. And then we do an intake call where I talk to them for an hour and listen very carefully. And then they come, and I have 12 hours where I get to listen to what they say, what they don't say, what their body says, what their energy says. And very few people are not fit to work with me. The 5 or 6 people that I've had to say no to, have been like actively suicidal or in a kind of complex relationship with some sort of borderline personality disorder that there's too many doctors and things involved, where it's just too complicated. But for the most part, my practice is deeply simple. And the medicine is very generous and loving. And so, and I also trust myself. I trust myself and I trust my work. And so I'm able to let lots of people come and have the experience. Thanks for the question. Rick, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Grateful.